After about 1 million years, rain is finally here in iRacing, and it's the biggest update to the sim since dirt racing 7 years ago. People have so many questions about the tempest weather system. Is the racing line slippery? Is there a dry line that will form? Will I lose all my safety rating? And I've been racing in the rain non-stop since the weekend, trying it all out, and I'm here to answer some of your questions and let you know if rain in iRacing is as good as what we'd been hoping. Let's check it out. So today I'll be doing a quick overview of the rain, how it works in iRacing, how to set it up, where you can use it, what functionality is included. We'll get into a bunch of special things that is included in iRacing rain, but nowhere else, like rubbered lines and things like how you can get bogged in the grass and similar things. And finally, I'll give you my straight up thoughts about how it feels under the wheel and whether you should be excited or terrified or both. To start with, I should say that I'm on a pre-release version of Rain, and big thanks to iRacing for letting us mess around in the puddles before release. My opinions are based on this version. There may be changes made before the actual build. So yeah. On release, Rain will be available in 15 cars. More cars will be added in future releases, but for now there's some good variety in the cars with some aero cars for high speed stuff. There's a tin top 86 and also the Ray Formula Ford 1600, which has an all-purpose tyre for the dry and wet weather. It's the only car which doesn't have a specific wet weather tyre. What is awesome is that on release, Rain will be available on all tracks in iRacing that you can race road circuit racing at, so you can get stuck into it everywhere. In terms of official series that will have rain once we hit week 1, iRacing says that the LMP2 Fixed and the Ray Formula Ford Open series will feature rain being more of a possibility than other series. So if you are a rain meister, those are the series that you should be racing in. Otherwise, each series on iRacing will have different probabilities of it raining. Some won't include it at all if that's your thing. Fixed sessions as well can have rain, and tyre selection will be adjustable just like the brake bias is currently. To set rain up in iRacing, it's pretty straightforward. We jump into the UI, and when setting up a session, you have 3 options for weather. This section honestly looks really nifty. It's really well designed. The simple option is to select static weather. You can select the cloud cover you'd like, just like we already have, along with the moisture level, which will stay the same the whole session, and then your usual settings as well. Rain has to be with the overcast session. You can't have a clear sky and like magical rain falling. I've tried it, but you can't. Yep. The second option that I hope is used a lot is, especially for competitive esports racing, to be honest, this is forecasted weather. We can specify the likelihood of rain as well as roughly when it will rain. You can specify temperature, wind. You can also just leave it automatic, and it will generate based upon where the track is in real life and historical data. The weather won't be exactly like the forecast that's generated, but it'll be pretty accurate, and you'll still need to think on your toes in the actual race. The final option is timeline editor, and this is where you can really get stuck into the conditions that you want exactly to happen. You can bring in a bunch of different conditions and set them to happen at defined points. So that's the UI settings. Once we're in server, we have some new options available as well. We have a new black box that's accessible with the F11 key. This shows the weather forecast along with a button to ask your spotter for a weather update. We also have a weather tab available on the main screen with a radar and a more detailed timed forecast. In this session, I asked it to give me a super sunny day, then like 15 minutes of the heaviest rain you've ever seen, and then completely sunny again, so that's why the radar looks a little funky. Another thing to note is that it won't be possible to have too much rain in iRacing. The rain will always be drivable. It won't be able to rain enough to create like flooded conditions and red flag conditions, so you don't have to worry about that. So iRacing Rain is different in many ways from other games. There's a bunch of stuff included that I've never really seen in a sim racing game before. The one that everyone's been asking for is there a dedicated wet line? And if you go off the racing line, is there more grip? The answer is yes. There's more grip on the outside of corners, offline on straights, and at other places. I have never seen this implemented at this level in a game before, and it is awesome. In one of my testing races, I was in the Toyota 86 at Okayama, and I was absolutely hunting for grip racing against the AI. At the hairpin section near the end of the lap, there's like a left and a right hairpin. I was driving on the very edge of the track and driving clean around the outside of the AI drivers. So it's It's really good. There's a feeling that I've felt in real life, especially in go-karts, but also in car racing as well. And I'm going to call it the silence, I guess. It's that feeling of when you're heading into a corner in the wet, you're often on the rubbered racing line, you make a really good call of when to brake, you hit your pressure, you go slightly more, and maybe you lock the tires up, and everything just goes silent. All you can hear is the rain and your car sliding, and you're just hoping for your car to grip, and then at the last second before the road ends, the thing grips up and it hooks and you're still on the road. It's one of the most terrifying experiences ever, and it's 100% in iRacing. So once you go over the racing line, get to the edge of the track, you get a bunch more grip and the car will likely hook if you're not going too fast. It's scary and amazing. It's really good. The rain line itself, avoiding the general racing line, has more grip pretty much all the time, but contrary to popular belief, you don't always want to use it when you're racing. I'm actually going to release a separate video later this week explaining how to find a wet racing line and when to use it. If you do want to be notified for that, make sure you subscribe below so you don't miss it. iRacing has done their iRacing thing and made this super detailed. Based on their laser scans, the rain will pull in specific places. The best example I found was at Winton, which is now a free track with this build, a track where I've actually raced at a bunch in real life. In the cleavage section at the top of the track, there is a really tight left-hander, and it seems to always get puddling forming around the curb on the inside of the track. And the exact same thing happened in iRacing when I was driving the Cadillac there. So it seems really realistic. The painted lines are also very slippery. I found this most at Charlotte in the F4, where the painted sections off track are basically ice. If you go off into the grass as well, you'll just keep going until you make the fence. Sometimes it feels in real life like when you go off into wet grass, it almost feels like the car is somehow accelerating, and I got that same feeling in iRacing. As a side note, I went off track a fair bit and I got some slowdowns, which are still there. I found that they clear very quickly. This may not be the same in the build, but that's a note that I found. Another thing that I found was that if you do go off into the grass and you get stuck and stop, if it's really wet, you can get bugged and you can't get out, which is like real life. Graphically, rain looks really good. The puddles, the spray, all of it. If you want to see some more information on the graphical kind of performance impact on your PC and if you'll be dropping frames, you can check out Mikkel's video he did yesterday on this channel. One thing I did find when driving was that the windscreen wipers gave me a headache. This is an issue I also found in EAWRC, and it might be from me sitting so close to the screen, like it's right here. And it might be because my fob is a bit narrow as well. I found that opening the FOV a bit helped, but if you've ever had this issue, I thought I'd just let you know. I also found that the rain on the windscreen didn't 100% quite match up with what the windscreen wiper was doing. It was like a slight delay between the windscreen wiper and the rain. This is a pre-release build we're using. This might be fixed or worked on in later builds. So driving in changeable conditions with rain is really fun. It's been one of the most joyful things I've done in sim racing for a long time. It's great thumping around a dry track, watching the clouds roll in, like the super dark clouds, and once it starts spitting, the grip level is the same, but you've got rain hitting your visor and the track is slowly darkening and your brain starts like overthinking everything. Do I brake earlier? Am I about to oversteer? That mental side is so fun for the first lap or two the rain is starting. And once you actually start to feel the car move around, you're having the constant thought of, is it dry enough for slicks or should I be pitting for wets? I was racing in Charlotte in the F4 and it is so tough to gauge the crossover point. I stayed out a lap too long. I thought it was going to be okay and it wasn't. I ran slightly wide near the end of the infield. I hit a painted section and completely fenced the car. So the conditions can change really quickly and within a lap sometimes. Once it truly gets wet, you're constantly searching for grip and the track is changing lap by lap, completely different to pretty much everything in esports racing ever before, because we get so optimized into one weather condition. The fact that it's changing every lap, your preparation can only do so much. You have to make an educated guess every corner. At the moment, I've also found the dry line looks way drier than what it actually is, so take your time before swapping to slicks. You'll be tempted to do it a lot earlier than when it's actually the best. And I'm also getting big spray in the mirror even when running on the dry line, so this may be tweaked moving forward. Another question I've been asked a bunch is, how is racing other cars in the spray? The spray is great, you can't see anything, and you'll be pulling out into clean air just to kind of see the corner. I race on a single screen, it's been great. I can't see anything that I'm missing here by not using a triple screen. You shouldn't be looking out the side window anyway, really. The visibility is hard, and you can't turn the spray off, but it's part of the fun. And I think competitively this adds another level. Just like real life, the leader, apart from being the pioneer, will have a huge advantage in terms of visibility and being able to see the track. So that's rain in iRacing. It's a really fun feature and it completely overhauls one of the most important parts of road racing. I had high expectations for this update and it truly is better than what I would hope to be. I'm so glad they've sat on this for a while to make it really good for release, and I really hope you enjoy racing it as much as I have. I can't wait to get stuck into the Sebring 12-hour and future endurance races. It's going to be so good, and I've seen a lot of messages about people being scared if they're good enough for rain and if they're going to lose all their safety rating and that they may want to stay away. And to that, I honestly say, give it a go. Like, you don't have to like the rain, but just like real life, sometimes you can't avoid it, and sometimes you just need to try it. It's hard, but it's also easier than you think, I guess. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts of rain are as you try it, and you can like the video and subscribe for more, especially if you want to see our guide to racing in the rain later this week. I hope you all have a great week 13 and keep it on the black stuff. Bye-bye.